commentary, son. Holy shit!
I hear myself thinking.
One little action can really make a whole huge deal in the entire set.
The Unity Dittos are fucking stupid.
Happy feet, combo combo, that ain't Falcon.
PC survives that attack. Both players are on their feet again to hit each other. Oh my god.
Hello everybody, welcome to Directional Influence episode 50, brought to you by VVV Gaming. I am your host, Rapture, and this is actually fun fact, and not even my co-host Matt, who is actually here with me today. How you doing, dude?
I am just dandy outside of schoolwork.
Right. And as I said, he doesn't even know this. Well, he didn't know this, but in fact, I record the show from my bathroom in my dorm room. And now this is because the internet is the best here. And I don't mind sitting on the toilet for what could be upwards of an hour to record the show because I love you guys. Also, it's really great when I have to take a dump and record the show at the same time because I can literally just do that. And that's almost non-trivial, but what isn't non-trivial is that this is the 50th episode of Directional Influence, and we got pretty DI'd out actually last time. We did a really big episode that we, in retrospect, probably should have planned for the 50th episode instead of making the 49th so awesome. So the 50th may be a bit underwhelming, actually. In fact, me and Matt here were just talking about what exactly we do with with this opportunity right now.
I mean, nothing terribly exciting happened this weekend. I mean,
right.
other than ROM. I mean, ROM was hype. Mango takes it again, I believe.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and of course we have Thanksgiving. So obviously we don't want to make you guys listen too long. So we got the holidays right now. In fact, I cannot wait to get ridiculous and eat tons of turkey, and I'm going to be really happy about that. But for this show, we're just going to be casually talking about a few things. I know we have a ton of game releases that came out that we've actually been playing other than Smash. This past weekend, I know you went to a tournament, I went to a tournament, and there's a lot of things that are going down very soon, actually. In fact, and I'm going to get right into this right now because I'm not going to do a transition because I don't feel like it. This weekend, I believe, will be Polybrawl 6 if you're in the New York area. So if you are looking for some after Turkey Day action and you're in the New York area, you can actually hit that up. I believe J-Tails is running that in Brooklyn. And that is a pretty big tournament, I believe. Will be November 26th. Continuation of the Polybrawl series, even though it's not taking place at the Polybrawl venue.
It's not, Polytech University.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
it is somewhere near there.
Right. It's a spiritual successor to the tournament. Of course, there are also other tournaments coming up in the near future. If you guys do want to check these out, I'll give you guys a bit of a heads up. We've got, I'm just going through a number of these tournaments. While there actually aren't a lot of tournaments in the near future. Yeah. Obviously, there's Apex 2012. I mean, that's
if you guys haven't signed up for that, the price is going up at the end of the month.
It is on the 29th.
You guys should really hop on that. It's honestly, like I've said in the past, it's better to register early for everybody. So just register and pay less money. Come on, pay less money. I shouldn't have to say anything more than that.
Pay less money. Also on the 26th, if you're in Canada, there's Showdown in Downtown 5, which is being, at least as a thread shows me, Tin Man is hosting on the 26th in Toronto. I can hit that up. On the December 3rd and 4th, you've got Melee's Full Metal Presents Tipped Off 7, which is a Road to Apex event in Duluth, Georgia. And then in California on December 10th with a new player discount and pop bonus held by Mike Hayes himself in Orange, California. It is the Elite Four Series champion. So that is for all you guys. And if you're in the Midwest, I'm actually trying Midwest, you guys got a event nowhere. I can't find any. Either way, though, you guys can obviously check out.
You guys can head up to Canada.
Head up to Canada. I mean, I've honestly been thinking about going to a Canada event, even though I wouldn't do it to play. But it definitely, I want to see how Canada does things if they do anything different at all.
I want to see the maple syrup and
I want to see the maple syrup. Yeah, that because
and the hockey.
Because it looks any different up there. Yep. Speaking of hockey, that's a sport. And what's also a sport is football. And what also is done during the days of football is Thanksgiving, which is when football is played. And I want to talk about see how
What the hell?
where I got to Thanksgiving. But yeah, Thanksgiving is a pretty big holiday for most Americans. If you don't know, this is when we took America from the Indians and we took their food. Ultimately, what we do, for those of you who don't know, is we eat a lot of food, get really drunk, watch football, and pass out.
I mean, Thanksgiving is about more than that, Dakota, don't you think? Isn't Thanksgiving about giving thanks for the things we have?
Yeah, it is. For
You know what?
For the 3 seconds
Dakota?
you say grace before you eat dinner. Yeah, it is, I guess. But it's.
We have some things to give thanks for, don't we, Dakota?
I guess we do have things to give thanks for.
You know, honestly, I think that there are a lot of people in the Smash community that honestly don't get as much credit as they deserve. And you know what? Since it's the holiday of giving thanks,
Yes.
I mean, I'm gonna give some shout outs. What do you think?
You know what? We can definitely give some thanks to people in celebration of Thanksgiving. We can do.
Well, I gotta say that the real people that don't get as much credit as they deserve is the tournament organizers in the Smash community, because
Yes.
as I've said many times before, we're a grassroots community. We're doing this all on our own, and I mean, these people give us great events, and they don't ask for much in return. So I'm going to give some shout-outs to especially people like Alex Strife, people like Zyro, people like Mike Hayes, Biscuit.
Everyone who runs tournaments. I mean, R.O.B, DM Brandon, those guys just gaming.
All these people just put so much work and
So
effort
much.
into it, and they don't ask for much. So I am giving thanks to those people.
And you know what? I'm gonna actually give more thanks to those people, because I'll tell you guys a story, and it's great that you brought this up, because it's actually reminded me of something that happened about a week ago, over a week ago. In fact, I was the host of the NJ Halo KOTC event for Gears of War. So I ran the entire event pretty much myself. Gears of War 3, 4v4s and 2v2s. And I have to say, running an event like that is absolutely ridiculous. Making sure everyone is at the stations, playing their matches, reporting their scores, sending people to new stations, getting teams ready, getting people on the stream, making sure the brackets are correct, making the graphics, seeing the graphics, signing everyone up. It was crazy. I was literally exhausted. My voice was gone. Thankfully, there was a megaphone there, so I didn't have to scream as loud. And it was a ridiculous event. And what happened was in this event, actually, and I'll get more into it, to go beyond actually giving thanks to TOs like myself, I guess, was that the NJ Halo made me really hate competitive Gears of War 3. I mean, I fucking hate it. I literally don't want to play it anymore. It literally made me... first of all, there's some great people in the community. I know this isn't Smash related, but I gotta let you guys know. It was so ridiculous. The tournament itself actually didn't end because we got to a late start, and as the new TO, I wanted to do double elimination, because what they do is single elimination with buybacks. I was like, fuck that. That's not competitive. But we got started late, a lot, like hours later than I actually wanted to start. So we didn't. The last 3 teams they actually had to split. And I mean, I worked my ass off, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I fucking worked my ass off, and everyone knew it. And the tournament itself ran really smooth. But the fact that we started so late, outside of my, jurisdiction, I couldn't really do anything about that outside of my power. I got shit on by a few couple people who were like, wow, this was really dumb, worse NJ Halo. I'm like, you know what? And me and other TOs put in so much work to get an event done. And, we can't plan for everything. So overall, it was, and not to get into more detail, but it was a crazy experience. I hate Gears of War. Literally, I hate it right now. I'm in a mood of hating Gears of War. And honestly, I want to really thank all the people who work to get these tournaments on, because the planning, the actual doing of it, the finishing up of it is stupid, hard, and exhausting. And I honestly can't sympathize or empathize with these people enough that work and put on Smash tournaments every weekend. So that's ridiculous. So shout outs to those people. Shout outs. You just got an epic shout out. Real talk. That's real talk. And you know what? Shout out to Will for being a tired motherfucker, not being on this fucking episode, which is entirely beyond the point. But you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate part. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about us being college kids and Will working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Is that we don't. I mean, we enjoy doing this.
Of course.
And,
I mean, that's
and
why
you know what? That's another thing I'd like to give thanks for is you guys who are listening to us. We thank you every week, but honestly, you honestly don't know how much it means to us that you guys tune in every week to listen to us talk about bullshit. Like,
pretty much.
Like, if I could do this for like a living and just stop going to school and just talk to you guys, talk to Dakota, and you guys just listen to me and talk about the stupidest shit that I
really do.
Like, when
I put together that best of episode, there's so much shit that doesn't even need to be worth talking about, and it ends up into the final cut of an episode. So, and speaking of which, so being college students, actually, I'll tell you guys a story. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but I do play Smash Brothers with my college friends. Smash is actually very I guess, popular game at my campus. And a pretty funny thing that happened last night that I wanted to share with you guys is that we played Smash quite a bit. About 10 people were in my room playing Smash Bros. And then we ended up going to another room to play it. So same team, 10 people going to this room. We literally moved all the beds out of this room into another room, and we had a full empty room for chairs and playing. Like, we had like 2 Smash setups. It was great. And we're playing, and the power goes out. Couldn't figure out why. We fix it somehow. We were like, unplugging shit. We go out into the main room, which we hadn't stepped foot in at all in the 3 hours. And there is a drunk person who we had never seen before chewing on a extension cord. Like a rat. And we're pretty convinced that's why the power was going out. Matt, has that ever happened to you?
No. I mean, I pay a lot of money to go to this school, so I mean.
So you don't have.
If that ever happened, then I don't know.
I mean, I pay a lot of money. Well, okay, my scholarships pay a lot of money for me to go to.
Yeah.
if that's the better way to put it. But I was wondering why he was thinking he wasn't going to get electrocuted, because that's really unsafe.
I don't think rats think about these things.
Well, it was a person.
Oh, it was a person?
It was a drunk person.
He was chewing on an extension.
Yeah.
Well, that's college life.
Yes.
To add on to your college life stories, I mean, I had gotten in the elevator like 2 days ago, and all of the buttons were pressed in the elevator.
I do that.
And there were gummy bears everywhere. And I had determined that a college kid had exploded and it had made gummy bears. That's what happens when college kid explodes.
And the gummy bears went everywhere, hitting all the buttons on the elevator.
Yeah, this was the only logical explanation.
Obviously. Now, of course, we were playing Smash Bros., but we've also been playing a lot of different games. In fact, Skyrim just came out.
Yes,
Zelda Skyward Sword came out.
I had gone home and I wasn't expecting to be able to play Skyrim because my brother loves the Elder Scrolls series, so I had assumed he was going to play it.
Right.
But apparently he was burnt out on Skyrim from playing it the whole day, so I had pretty much had Skyrim to myself the whole weekend.
Word.
And damn, Skyrim is...
It's good.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's good.
Skyward Sword... A lot of people are hyped for Skyward Sword, and why wouldn't you be? Because it's, one of the first Zelda platformers to come out in recent years. I mean,
at least it's the first console Zelda since Twilight Princess.
Yeah,
which has been a few years. So.
Twilight Princess was a bit of a letdown, and there was, not a letdown as in, sort of a letdown for hardcore Zelda fans, but not a letdown for me who doesn't really like Zelda games that much.
I'm a pretty big fan of Zelda. I got into it when I was, I was like an N64 kid, obviously, like many of you, and I got into it with Ocarina of Time, but Majora's Mask was my first Zelda game, and that game creeps me the fuck out, but it's my favorite one. I think it's honestly one of the best Zelda games, if not the best Zelda game. I freaking love it. So I actually like darker Zelda games. So I like Twilight Princess. I mean, then again, obviously we all know its flaws. But I also liked Wind Waker, so I'm not really that much of like a discriminating kind of Zelda person. But then there's Skyward Sword, and I really, yeah, I see that the 10 out of 10 reviews. I know DM Brandon reviewed it on Always Brawl and gave it like an 8, and said in particular the control sucked, and a lot of other things like the graphics weren't that good. And I honestly, when I first saw the trailer for this game, and I know the graphics got better since then, but my God, I hate the graphics for Skyward Sword. I hate them. There's a difference between being cell shaded and all of that, and then just having crappy cell shaded graphics that are just blocky and
No, yes, I agree.
gross.
I just think that we can't look forward to Nintendo games with good graphics. I mean, it's just one of the things that
that's
it's
what
just
the
gonna let us
Wii U
down.
was saying though. Is that that HD Zelda trailer from E3? That was sort of hype. I want that game. That game I want them to make, and Nintendo will fucking suck my dick if they come out with another win.
No, yeah, I'm hoping that they realize that it's not up to snuff anymore to just release a Zelda game or a Mario game and just have these N64 graphics for it still,
Right, like the fucking Zelda graphic. I mean, all right, I'm sorry I'm not going to get freaking Halo. I'm not going to get Skyrim. I'm not going to get freaking Mass Effect graphics with a Nintendo game. But I mean, it's 2000. It's almost 2012, okay? And
at least have some PS2 graphics.
yeah, right. At least have something decent, and that's why I usually feel like sometimes I wish I could play, Metroid or whatever, or Star Fox on a fucking PS3 or an Xbox 360, because unfortunately the games would be a lot more enjoyable. The graphics don't make the game, but graphics make up a good part of the game, I would think, enough to actually make a difference. And I personally I did play Zelda. So I did play it, and I also played Skyrim, and Skyrim was amazing. Literally 10 out of 10. I've had a ton of fun with Skyrim. I think it looks great, it feels great, it's a great game. I love it. Combat, not the best, but I think overall it's fucking amazing. And then there's Zelda, and I've never ever liked motion controls. I just want to play with a fucking controller, or standard issue input controller. The GameCube controller still is the most comfortable motherfucking controller you can ever make for someone. I don't care what you say.
I agree. I don't
care
care
what you say. It's the best controller ever made. And then all of a sudden the Wii comes out, and you got the and that's cool, but I don't like this whole getting up and playing games. That's why I play video games, to sit down and chill. If I want to go get up and waggle my arms or run, I'll go out and play a sport if I want to do that, right? So
I agree.
So Zelda has you swinging one-to-one motion. That's cool. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. But I also understand that, a Zelda combat can also be just as good with standard button inputs. And I know you can I feel like it's so prehistoric to being like, wow, if you cut vertically, you can hit enemies in one way, but if they're blocking that way, you should hit them horizontally, so that way they, to deal damage that way. Like, I feel like that's so archaic because that's so obvious. Like, obviously that's what you would do. If I had the option with button inputs, I'd be doing that. That's why they made that kind of system in the fucking previous Zelda games. It's just they didn't really. You could easly do that with, take Majora's Mask, for example, which I was literally just playing this weekend too. Depending on how you tilt it, or how hard you're pressing it, or how you're moving, you can do different kinds of sword swipes, which you can have done in Wind Waker, which you can do in Ocarina of Time, and whatever. But for some reason back then, they never really pushed the whole enemies having different ways to get damage kind of thing, except like a Deku Strub, which was always standing up straight, so obviously you hit it with a horizontal slash. And now all of a sudden it's freaking amazing when you can hit a guy who's holding his shield one way. Oh, well, how about you strike upwards and that'll do damage? Well, no fucking shit. Like, obviously I would have done that regardless of how the input is. But, I that's how I feel. So when I played Skyward Sword, overall the game's not bad. I think the game's great. But it's also underwhelming because the story was extremely predictable. The graphics weren't that great. Not to say it's not a fun game. I had a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of cool things you can do with motion controls, like the little beetle thing I think is pretty tight. But, then again, I'm just not a really big, advocate of motion controls, touchscreens, except the DS. I think the DS is tight, my favorite portable system of all time. I hate 3D too, so I'm sort of iffy about. I'm still buying a 3DS, but I have to get Mario Kart 7, so that's sort of out of the question. But I don't know. Zelda has been really mixed for me. I was actually more content with going back to my N64 and playing Majora's Mask than I was with playing Skyward Sword.
Well, I mean, it's just I wish that we still had options. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I understand that Nintendo is trying to sort of branch out, and like all these old people, like my mom, is just talking to me about how this Wii game and you can use the controller as a fucking rocket launcher and you can shoot at things like you're really shooting something. I don't care. I don't want to do that. I want to play a game with a controller because it feels like I'm in control on a controller because that's what I'm used to and that's what I enjoy and that's how I enjoy playing video games. And if you guys need to branch out and do that stuff, you can go ahead and do that stuff. But for the love of God, please let me plug my GameCube controller into the side and let me play it that way.
Right, I definitely agree.
Because if I can't do that, I mean, when the Wii first came out, I admit I was a little hyped about,
I was too, obviously. Everyone was.
Honestly, by the time I was halfway through Twilight Princess, I was literally just sitting on my bed, like chilled out, with like a bag of potato chips next to me. Not really, I don't even like potato chips. Just, sort of swinging my arm mildly, like to slash at things. Like that's how I was playing the game at that point because I was bored of it. Because it's a gimmick, and gimmicks don't last for very long.
Right. Now, I mean, I agree. Metroid Prime 3 was one of my most... I'm a huge Metroid fan, as many people know. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. You can point at things. But shooting games do not work like that because and this was one of my problems with it was that, and I can ask any Wii user that if you're trying to play a shooting game, it's really annoying because you have to control it at all times. With a controller, your cursor is always staying in the middle of the screen. You only have to manipulate the sticks to move it from that position. But you actually actively have to continue to point at the screen just to keep it in the middle if you're using a Wii game. That really annoyed me with Corruption, considering that I didn't have to do that in Prime 1 or Prime 2. Not that they had the best motion controls, because there's no dual analog kind of thing going on. You had to use the L trigger to actually look at things. But those are still amazing games. And I would have loved to have played Corruption on a regular, dual analog kind of stick. I think Nintendo actually really has never taken advantage of dual analog at all. Because
I don't think so either.
Ever, actually, because the N64 had one stick, the GameCube had two sticks, but the second one really wasn't a true analog stick. It was like it was a replacement for the C buttons on the N64. If they honestly, I cannot explain to anybody because I have no idea why dual analog has never really been a standard for Nintendo games because they benefited from gratefully just as other games do.
It's just another reason why Nintendo's never going to make a good shooting game. I mean, I remember when I first got my Wii as well, I also got the Call of Duty World at War or whatever because that was the most recent one that came out, and I was like,
right.
I really want to play a shooting game on this because it might be pretty cool. And I literally 5 minutes into the game, I took it out and I put it back in the case and I never touched it again because it was just the worst experience I've ever had at trying to play a shooting game.
Yeah, it's not even worth it, honestly. And now then there's the Wii U, which we can get into, which does have dual analog, but as it turns out, they're not really analog sticks and they're not set up in the traditional analog way. But I'm not aiming against that. I know I fucking hate the Wii U controller. Though the touchscreen thing is sort of, or whatever, the second screen is actually sort of a cool gimmick. Or I'm sure it'll outlive its welcome as long as the motion controls did. But
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is that these gimmicks, they worry me because I love Nintendo games. I love Nintendo characters. I love Nintendo as a company, not necessarily lately, but as a company in general. But honestly, I've become closer to my PS3 lately.
Yeah, same with my Xbox, honestly. I've been so prone to just throwing Gears, throwing Grand Theft Auto, throwing Halo, just because I can actually play the game how I want to, And that's the thing, too, is that with and this is just actually another point, I also played Super Mario 3D Land, which is not only a sort of easy game until the end, but a really fun game. But it was the first game that really took advantage of 3D. Like, you have to really use 3D to actually play the game because it changes how you play it, which I think is really cool. It's not just like gimmick to look at things in 3D like it was in like Ocarina of Time or it was for the Star Fox remake. And that bothers me because the 3DS has been out since, March? And it only took them until November to actually make a game that actually uses 3D in a useful way, that, you know, in a way that it couldn't just be made on the DS itself. And with the Wii, how long the Wii has been out for 5 years, and now they get one-to-one motion control. Now we get games that are actually made how the Wii should have been played 5 years ago. I'm worried that the Wii U isn't going to get a true Wii U game until maybe halfway through its lifespan, when the next consoles come out and it's actually irrelevant.
Yeah, it's just disturbing.
It is.
It's worrying.
All I want to do is just fucking play the
you
game.
worry about the future of gaming too. I mean, is Microsoft and Sony going to do this? I mean, I doubt that they will, but I mean, are they just going to dedicate themselves to these motion games? Because honestly, I'm just not a fan.
They need to give options, is what it comes down to. They should give options.
Yeah.
You have with the Wii. Think about Smash Bros. Smash Bros. is great. Gives you 4 options. Granted, most of them aren't good, but they give you options to play. The GameCube controller, the Virtual Console controller, the Wii U and the remote, and the nunchuck and the remote itself. Great. That's great. That's what all games should have. If you're on a console that has different things, like the Kinect, for example. Most games with the Kinect probably won't work with a controller input, but if you happen to have a Kinect sensor, you can use the Kinect alongside your regular controller, like in the Halo Combat Evolved for 10th anniversary game. You can use the Kinect along with your regular controller. That's great. If you happen to have a Kinect, that's a great use of it. But that doesn't mean that I want to,
Yeah, I think that the one thing that I would say that could probably sum up this entire conversation is that you want to be able to enhance your gameplay, not change your gameplay.
Right, I definitely agree. 100% agree. And I hope the Wii U enhances it, because I think it definitely has more of an opportunity to enhance it rather than change it, because it's actually going back to more of a standard kind of play. But that thing's fucking huge. It's not going to be. It'll be more comfortable to like sit back and play Twilight Princess while eating potato chips than the fucking Wii U remote was, but it won't necessarily be a GameCube controller. That's just fucking remake. Nintendo, just make the GameCube again. Make a GameCube 2. That's all you need to do. Make a fucking GameCube. I want to carry around the lunchbox. That's what I want to do. I want to carry around the lunchbox because that was great. Honestly, I thought the GameCube was the coolest looking motherfucker around. I honestly used the handle. The Wii didn't have handles.
If they were just like a little more advanced with the GameCube, it would have been perfect for its time. The only reason the GameCube had such little success is because they probably just released it too early, honestly, to try and compete with. I mean, not to mention it was also just difficult to compete with the stuff that the Xbox and the PS2.
Oh yeah, that sort of came out of
It was inopportune, just like the Dreamcast. I mean, the Dreamcast was an amazing system, but it came out in an inopportune time.
It did, and the GameCube had stereoscopic 3D capabilities, never got used because at the time those kind of TVs weren't made. But Luigi's Mansion can be played in stereoscopic 3D, which not many people actually know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they actually, and you can actually find that in I believe in the instruction manual or the game disc or something or the game case. I remember reading that, and that was confirmed that you could. That was one of the games that if they actually invested time into and the TVs were around back then, you could have played it in stereoscopic 3D. It was one of the first games, if not definitely the one launch title you could, or launch window title you could do that. So that's definitely the case. They maybe not have put as much time or technology into it. Needless to say, a lot of people also said the launch titles and the games themselves are crappy. Like Super Mario Sunshine was a letdown, which I thought Super Mario Sunshine was great. I don't know why everyone thinks it wasn't a good game. I thought it was great. Luigi's Mansion was short but great. Wave Race fucking whatever, that was a great game. I love that. Melee obviously was amazing.
Tales of Symphonia.
There you go. Pikmin. Pikmin. Come on. I thought there were a lot of great games for the GameCube.
I thought that it was just so cool that you could play Game Boy Advance games on the GameCube. That was quite the selling factor. If the Wii U can play DS games, Jesus Christ.
Right. There was there was so little Wii to DS connectivity. The only time I ever did that was for Pokemon Battle Revolution. Only time. But honestly though, the GameCube to the Game Boy was a legit idea. I did that for Animal Crossing. That's how much I loved it. Granted, the cables were a little out of hand sometimes, but it was fucking 2002, 2003. That's what was expected at the time. But I mean, honestly, the Wii not having here's essentially what it boils down to. Nintendo needs to make another GameCube. That's just what it is. They just need to literally just make a little lunchbox, spice it up. 2012. Literally, the Wii didn't. I think I'm the only person who actually took advantage of that. I carried my GameCube around like that. I kid you not. I carried it around like that because I had a fucking handle. If the Wii had a handle, I'd carry it like that. I'm being serious. That's
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
had the fucking handle, and everyone was like, "Oh, I want the black one. I want the silver one." I got the purple one because I want a fucking purple console. I thought that was great. I thought that was the coolest thing. And I loved being able to hit the button really fast when the GameCube would load up, so it would go into that like spinny menu. The Wii doesn't have that. It has these stupid channels. No, I want that. I just want Nintendo. Seriously, all I want is just simple. That's all. I don't
want them to complicate.
Yeah, just give me a controller, give me a game, give me the and that's it. I just want inputs and a game to play. Because honestly, when Wii U gets the Smash Bros, I want to clear this up for everybody, for the love of God, because I keep seeing people talk about this. You will not play Smash Bros on a Wii U controller. I will tell you that right now. It is not made for a fighting game. It can only support 1 to 2, and it's way too big to ever bring to a tournament situation. And if you're not a tournament player, you're still not going to play with it. So I just want to plug in my controller or connect to it with a wireless controller and just play with a regular input. That's all I want. But unfortunately, no. Nintendo thinks it knows what it's doing, and you know what? Maybe they do. But I can tell you that if they made an updated GameCube with an actual good launch window, because for some reason Nintendo can't get launch windows right for any time. Like, when was the last time they had a good launch window? Never. Maybe the original DS. Maybe. The 3DS had a shitty one, the N64 had a shitty one, the GameCube had a shitty one, the Wii had a shitty one. The Wii U, if the Wii U doesn't have a good launch window, Nintendo is the king of bad launch windows. That's just it. And wow, I think we just ranted about Nintendo for the majority of this podcast.
That's fine. We didn't have that much to talk about in regards to Smash, so okay. I hope that you guys are at least enjoying your gaming experience this gaming holiday, because let's face it, October, November, December is the best couple months to be a gamer.
It is. It's the best. With that said, you can comment on what we've talked about. We'd love to hear your opinions. Maybe we'll read them next time, see what you guys think about what we talked about. So maybe you have to take like a second listen to see exactly what we said. Other than that, I don't know. I think maybe we can wrap up the show.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess. All right. Well, shout out to VVV for hosting the show for us. Wow, my arm just got really dead. Ow. Shout outs to everyone following us on Twitter, Facebook, Smashboard, Dollars Brawl, the VVV site. You guys can also see this episode and all the other episodes on those sites. Shout outs to Matt for being here, and Will, I actually pretty much gave him the night off because I know he wasn't going to be able to make it. There's no way he was going to make it. He would have fell asleep during the show. He was so tired. He had like a 12-hour shift. Also, fun fact, I will be starting up my own blog very soon. I'm not sure where it's exactly going to be, but most likely on the VVV site. In terms of the content, I'm actually going to be focusing a lot on narratives, so like story, plot devices in games, single-player campaigns. So it's going to be a sort of like a single-player kind of thing, so different from the multiplayer kind of tournament scene that you guys are used to, but definitely going to be working on that, so stay tuned for that, because I'm actually really excited about that blog and to get my blogging up there. And then we'll be expanding DI as well. I know Matt's been really hyped up about that because he's like, let's expand. I'm like, hey, you're never on the show. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, like I said, I really regret not being able to make it on the show sometimes, but my schedule this year is literally, this semester in particular is literally the schedule from hell. Some of you may know I just changed my major because I've been very unhappy with this major.
You changed your major? You did?
Yes,
really?
I did change my major.
Wait, all right. What were you studying, and what are you studying now?
I was studying. Well, it was essentially business law, and then I just now changed it to criminology because, I mean, when they they gave me like the list of majors when I was like, just getting into college, they're like, "Oh, what do you want to pick as a major?" And I was like, "Well, I want to major in law." And they're like, "Oh, and then you'll probably like this law in the business world." And I'm like, "Well, okay, I'll major in this law in the business world stuff." And 2 semesters in, I was like, "Wow, these classes are not very law related." And then this semester in particular, I realized that this wasn't going to be what I expected it to be, and you sort of have that realization where
Right.
you're like, I'm not where I want to be right now. So I went to my advisor. And he's like, "Yeah, I can see why you're unhappy." And he gave me this list of majors, and I'm like, "Oh, well, criminology seems pretty cool." And he listed all these classes I would have to take, and honestly, it just seems so much better. So I've been really motivated lately, as opposed to before, where I was a bit depressed, a bit, under. Just sort of down on myself, just taking all these courses that I didn't want to take. So I've been very motivated lately, and hopefully I'll be able to get on DI more now that the semester is nearing its end. I can start focusing on the things I want to focus on, and like Dakota said, I've been really motivated outside of my school life. I've been really thinking about giving back to the gaming community, and maybe just sort of like writing stuff, maybe doing blogs or vlogs or something or other. And I've got a couple ideas floating around in my head, but more on that in a couple of weeks or so. But yeah, you guys can probably expect more out of me, and of course I'll always be around here, and I'm hoping to expand with Dakota, with Will, if he's willing to. And you guys shouldn't give Will such a hard time, because like Dakota said, Will's working really hard right now for no apparent reason.
No apparent reason.
Yeah, but he's just he's sleeping. He's Will.
He's doing DK things mostly.
Yeah, he's pounding the ground.
He's pounding something at least.
All right. So
yeah.
Thank you guys for bearing with me, and I hope you forgive me for not being on the show. And I'll try to be on more, and be on the lookout, like I said.
And with that, we're going to wrap up this show. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with episode 51 next week after Thanksgiving holiday. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about the tournaments that went on, the Thanksgiving holiday and all of that, and looking towards Christmas. So be excited. Next episode, coming up next week. So thanks for listening. See you guys on episode 51 of Directional Influence. Thanks for listening. Peace. Bye. 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 I've said that so many times. Let's go. Bye.